The first thing I want to talk about is a report that I read on WrestleZone.com that was stating that, for the longest time, like I've said before, I'm a big wrestling fan, and WWE is the big product. Recently as well, if you've been paying attention with UFC, CM Punk recently signed with UFC, and also had his little shoot podcast, which I talked about on prior episodes. So WWE essentially is pissed off at CM Punk right now. What they're doing, though, is taking it on the fans at the same time now. There's always been reports for months and months and months, ever since CM Punk left the company, even though we didn't know at that point that he'd quit and then eventually was fired. But, at some points there were just moments where we always saw little pitter-patters of reports of the security taking CM Punk signs away from people. And that, to me, it's like, okay, whatever. You don't want to openly advertise people that are on your roster, blah, 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 blah. But it's now getting to levels that I kind of go, okay, now you're pushing it. Now you're beyond pushing it, actually. They're now apparent, from what reports are saying, I can't confirm or deny this, because I'm not there. I haven't tried this either. I don't have a CM Punk shirt and I haven't gone to a WWE event that's televised either. Because it's not very often that they do that. Especially in Toronto, it's usually a Raw or SmackDown at the ACC, and those tickets are fucking expensive. I ain't gonna do it. But apparently they're either telling people, if they're wearing a CM Punk t-shirt, they're telling him either to leave or change their shirt. So obviously if they don't have to change a shirt, well, I guess they make them buy another shirt or something like that. I'm like, really? So here's the logic that we're putting into this. So a while ago, you sold, and I'm saying you as WWE. WWE sold these CM Punk t-shirts to their fans, which in the process means the fans give the WWE money so they can have the t-shirt and wear them to the shows. But now, just because the guy's not with the company anymore, and because they're mad at him, they're apparently telling the fans that gave the money to buy the t-shirt from the WWE so that they could wear the shirts to the WWE shows. Now they're saying, now you can't wear those shirts that you bought from you. So you're telling the fans that the shirts that they bought from you, the shirts that they bought from you, the shirts that they bought from you, that they can't wear them to your shows. The shirts that they bought from you to your shows. I don't think I can make it any clearer than that. You're telling fans, and like I said, if this is true, you're telling fans that merchandise that you gave, or that they gave you money for, you WWE, they gave you the money for these shirts, not CM Punk. You gave him a royalty check for them, but they gave you the money. So the money that they gave you is now completely void and null, because just because you're slightly pissed off at this guy who may have spoke, from what we're getting, because that's some pretty heinous comments that he made about your company if he lied. So we're assuming that just because he told some truths about your company and left to make more money because you weren't paying him very well, I might add, for another company that you don't claim as competition, but because you're mad at him, now people cannot wear the shirts that they bought from you to your shows. That logic is not holding up. The shirts that they bought from you and gave you money, but you won't let them wear them at your shows. That's fucking asinine. I don't care how pissed off you are at CM Punk right now. The fans have nothing to do with it. They're wearing the shirts because they were a fan of his when he was with you. It has nothing to do with him being in UFC now. It has nothing to do with the Cole Cabana podcast or whatever the fuck else. They wore that shirt and bought that shirt from you because of his time in your company. And at the end of the day, they paid you to get those shirts. By God, you cannot tell them not to wear them anymore just because you're slightly irritated at somebody. You're a fucking grown bunch of men and women. Take your fucking butt-hurt self and just go away. And forget about it. Go on a vacation. I'm sure you can afford it. Just leave the fans alone. The fans can do whatever the fuck they want. If it's not offending anybody, if they're not wearing, a fuck Vince McMahon or something like that, or fuck WWE shirt, then fine. It's stupidity when you think about, okay, now we're getting into the territory of right of expression, free speech, all that shit. But because you're slightly mad at a guy, you're taking it out on the fans who paid you money to get the merchandise that you once sold. And you stole it even when CM Punk was no longer in the company. And I don't even know if I'm actually, let's look this up right now. Let's see if they actually still sell CM Punk merchandise. I'm very curious to find out about this. Because if that's true, then either this report has to be bullshit, or this is the dumbest thing that's ever happened. So let's check. They do not sell shirts anymore, but they are still selling pendants and wrist sleeves, and I'm assuming that's just to clear them out of their warehouse. But you're still technically selling merchandise on your website at shop.wwe.com. Just search CM Punk. You'll see the two things, the pendant and the wrist sleeves. They're on greatly reduced prices, but they're still there. So you're still technically selling merchandise with this guy's name. But you're telling people that they can't wear the shirts that they bought from you a while back? Fucking Christ, this company is driving me insane. It's why I honestly I haven't watched wrestling. Basically what happens is I catch the pay-per-views if I can. When they post up quick videos of matches on YouTube and I'm interested in that particular match, I'll look at the highlights. But the only show that I watch on somewhat of a regular basis is NXT, and you know why? Because NXT to me seems like it's WWE without the atypical WWE format. It's just good wrestling with the production value of WWE. It's mind-boggling to me how this company acts sometimes. Anyway.